Good afternoon. So I'm going to do another run with this Can-Be 65 Sportster engine. I did a run a few hours ago and I changed a few things. Now I've got an APC 13.6 prop installed and I've gone with some 5% Omega fuel. Now the run I just did a few hours ago, I did adjust the mid-range and I had this engine running really well. And hopefully we'll be able to repeat that same performance. Same Can-Be glow plug, only fuel and prop have changed. So let's see if I can get another good run in here on camera this time. Okay, so that was every bit as good as the run I did a few hours ago. Now, I have to say that I'm actually quite impressed with this engine. Initially, I thought I had some issues with the exhaust, with having to tighten things up. It looks like everything is smoothed out there. I didn't really get any of that oily mess coming from the exhaust, but this engine really, for having as little runtime on it and being an economy engine, like I said, that was probably the 5th or 6th time I've run this engine, not tank, time. So it doesn't have but maybe 3 full tanks on it, if even that. It's running pretty damn good for such a small amount of runtime, and it's probably only going to get better. And I know I'm not supposed to hand start things, but I really kind of wanted to prove a point that even with as little runtime on it, once this engine got loosened up from the initial run or two, it hand starts rather easily. This is really a nice engine for what it is. As you could see with the carb is good, it works well, but when I would close it all the way, it would be at like 4,000 RPM, and then it would just kind of slowly drop down, and then I just let it sit there and find its point that it wanted to idle at. There was a couple of times where it started to drop down to 2,200, but then it would kind of rise back up to around the 3,000 point, 2,800, 3,000 RPM point, which is basically where I had it initially or ideally set for, and then it just sat there and idled. I mean, and my transition wasn't 100% perfect and instantaneous, but come on, it is a sport engine, an economy engine, and I wouldn't expect the same response out of this engine as maybe a high-end engine. But I mean, and that might even get better over time, but that almost kind of seems to me more like just a factor of this carb. So I'm going to put a couple of images up here that show exactly how I've got my throttle stop screw set for how it was idling and how I've got this mid-range screw set. I'm not entirely sure if the mid-range screw was all the way vertical when I first started. I didn't look. Maybe in one of the other videos I can see how that is, but I'm not sure. But I'll show you how it is now. And it seemed like it was maybe a hair still rich for the transition, and maybe I can tweak it just a bit more, but I wanted to at least get a video made that shows how it ran earlier in the day and how good it's really running right now. So I'm pretty impressed with this engine, and like I said, I think it'll only get better with more runs on it. So at some point here we're going to put it on static thrust and do some of that. So hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.